Hi there. This is not meant to be a directed target at Roseburg, Oregon. I'm not trying to attack them in any ways. I'm just trying to compare my situation in there to other people's situations around the country. So maybe people can kind of understand exactly what goes on there in that little tiny sheltered little town, Roseburg. Again, I'm not trying to attack the city, just maybe trying to make people aware of something going on with officials here today, and something that went on with me in particular during my lifetime, about almost 20 years in that area. Give you a little bit of my background. In 1977, I was born in Roseburg, Oregon, at a place called Douglas Community Hospital on Harvard Boulevard, which was torn down. Um, I'm not sure exactly what year they tore it down. It could have been torn down anywhere between 2003 and 2005. I know I was still in the area when they destroyed the building that I was born in. So, anyways, I don't try to take things too personal. I'm not trying to take things on a personal level here. Um, it's hot outside and it's a little bit cool in here with the air conditioner, so I thought I would throw on this jacket to keep warm, and plus the sophistication, maybe possibly be able to show how serious I'm trying to be. I'm not trying to be a smart aleck at all. If people think that that's what I'm trying to do, then please stop and walk away from this video right now, because I would prefer you not to see it, because it's something that I take very serious. So we're going to get into how they bamboozled me in court and gave me a felony. That's what it's all about here. And I've went long enough. It's been about 15 years since the conviction. It happened in 2001, or around 2000, 2001, somewhere around the time that I went back to get my adult high school diploma at the Woolley Center on Harvard, and also I was going to I had full-time college courses. Also at the same time, I was getting my adult high school diploma. So just to let people know, that's how I pivotedly got my adult high school diploma accomplished, and am a alumni from Umpqua Community College and the Woolley Center. Wonderful places. If I could, I would go back and I would be a teacher at one of those places. If I had my choice and I could do anything I wanted to do, that would be something I would consider very seriously. If not me, some other people that might be better um, character to be a teacher, to take over, then maybe I would be myself. But anyhow, so I was gonna write a book, but I'm not sure that it seems like a very interesting novel. What it was, I was hoping it was gonna be consisted of a lot of material pages and documents of 20 years, so I could go year to year if I could remember um, everything that went on there, minus a few things. It's kind of like of Vegas. What goes on in Roseburg stays in Roseburg. But anyways, the unfair treatment of the Roseburg Police Department and other police officials in that area. People aren't given a fair shake, and they're pursued by law enforcement who illegally follows people around. I have been pursued and followed for no reason. They had absolutely no right to follow me like that. Stopped me in my car and tried to give me other charges. And this is where I consider it to be a kind of almost a crime on the policeman's part if they are taking things personal that certain people do or say in the community, and they let that affect them as a police officer. Unless the person really is a scumbag, then I think that they have made a dire mistake with people like myself who come from a position that the person should have been more helped out, like Umpqua Community College helped me, and the Roseburg High School helped me with the tutor until I was 21. I was too old to be able to go to school anymore. So somehow, when I was born, they gave me shots or something that made my brain numb. It made me an autistic person. So I suffered severely with some kind of traumatic effect from an immunization shot going overseas when I was 3 months old. I'm thinking, because I don't want to ask too many questions, I already heard enough, but I'm thinking that what they did was they gave me an immunization shot when I was born. I had to go overseas when I was 3.5 months old. Moms wanted to be with Pops over in Okinawa. He was a career Marine guy. So we got the shot. And then next thing you know, I was sort of, I don't know, I remember my grandfather when I was 3 years old, but the other times in school, I remember that I had a really hard time focusing and being able to understand um, get curriculum. I couldn't get an education because I couldn't get it. I was like numb. How I can how I call it today is I say I was it was like a buzzing feeling, like a buzzing sensation, like things are all buzzing around me unless I got to a place where I could be quiet and it could be quiet and they could drown out the buzzing. It was like bzzz. Sometimes it's just all this commotion going on around you and you're stunned. That's basically what happened to me. I was a stunned individual. I got stunned by the government, and I'm taking it now. I thought for a while I blamed it on the government and other people, and I thought that it was a plot, like they had done it. I was kind of, I guess, paranoid, like my dad would call me, paranoid about it. Um, Maybe he didn't know that's what I would say, and he just calls me paranoid over other things. And anyway, so I kind of felt like I was burned by the government, but now I rationally see that it wasn't their fault. They didn't do it on purpose. It just took me a little bit of time to grasp that understanding that it wasn't their fault. But this is what they did to me since I was young. They locked me up in closets. They jerked me up and ripped me up and threw me around and treated me like a rag doll. And then today they will tell you that their excuse for that is that they didn't know how to deal with autistic people. So I got ill treatment and not just harassed, but tortured. It sounded like torture to me. So, and now people today expect people like that have been through stuff like that just to be over being tortured as a child. So it's a little bit hard to be able to just stay focused with that being in mind. Maybe that's how you do it. You don't think about it. I used to have, um, I used to get so upset about what what went on in my school before before I even graduated. It's the whole entire time, but more so when I was younger. I would talk about certain things, and even people from the government trying to audit me or trying to whatever they're trying to do to me, try to say I'm not autistic anymore, would confront me with this crap and try and act like I'm healed all of a sudden, even ask me questions people like that, and I can't answer all their questions entirely without getting upset. And I think that that's even more rude and cruel to sit there and try and make a grown man cry about something that went on in his childhood. I think it is morbid, and I think they're the wrong people, because you're talking about somebody from the government is not going to be understanding like a counselor. So I'm very still upset with the government trying to. The government bamboozles me. So that's another story. So, anyways, um, the place in Roseburg, if after what I just explained and just said, that they set people up, that they set me up, I will tell you that since being a young person in that area, I can tell you from experiences that there are some laws that say you can't share certain information about people. And I would say if you were to ask them and they were to start attacking me over this video and what I'm pointing out about them, I would have to say that they share in private information about other people. If it benefits them or they want to mock somebody and make fun of them, that's how low these people really are at times. But they will actually um, share that with unofficial people for unofficial reasons, just to laugh at you, or an unofficial person because they want to share your private information. So they try and make it just like the rest of the government and everybody else who's made laws against our constitutional rights and other things up to this point, bearing in on crimes that people commit in society as far as the right to share information and what's private and what's public. And then I don't know what you would maybe debate on the two, I guess, but that would be my opinion of the place. So, anyways, I'm writing something different than this in my experience of what happened there. So, we take it back to a guy named Justin Saunders, a guy who's not even from Roseburg, comes into the area, okay, and for whatever reason, it could have been marijuana, it could have been alcohol, whatever we were into. We're not perfect, but we're not out breaking the law um, quite exquisitely how the government of Roseburg would want people to think. But um, this guy Justin Saunders, come to find out, he was a womanizer, and he would like to hit his girlfriend, his wife at the time. So around the time I got in trouble, it was in 1999. This gentleman had got into a particular situation with me and some other people that knew me and came to a residence that I was supposed to take care of. I was supposed to be the caretaker of, and the guy, speaking of being getting in trouble and whatnot, he was on probation, parole actually, more serious than I've ever been in, and as far as trouble goes, or want to ever be in, as far as that goes. But anyways, this gentleman, I won't mention the guy's name, but he lived in Dillard, Oregon, and that's where the residency was. And they come out there and they broke into the guy's house and they stole his stuff. We goofed around in there, but we did not steal anything when I was there at the gentleman's house, because I had already grown up, I believe, in my opinion of myself, that I was telling people, and younger people especially, don't get into crime. Go to your class. Like I said, I was enrolled at the Woolley Center at Umpqua Community College, and one of the things that I learned from those places was to be in class. When class was going on, your class participation it should be part of your grade. That's what they told me anyway. So I stressed younger people into staying, whatever they're going to do or get into or whatever. Make sure you're in class if you're taking it seriously. Otherwise, you have no reason to be at the school unless you take your school career or whatever you want to call it more serious. So this guy Justin was not a career student or anything like that, but what happened was before I got onto my father's GI Bill, and they let me go to school on my father's GI Bill from him going to Vietnam and being in the service. I ended up with a school career. I got an adult high school diploma. So the area did me really some good, and the fact that I knew the place well benefited me well. Like where I'm at now, I'm like a foreigner. I'm used to a lot of the places around here, but I can still get lost. And in Oregon, I'm not typical, at least in the southern part of Oregon, I'm not typically going to get lost. So, anyways, that's how I met up with this Justin Saunders guy, and I didn't dislike the guy until I heard or seen him actually be abusive to the girl, to his wife. And they had children already at that time. So I started talking bad to Justin and treating him really bad because I did not like him, and I would have appreciated it if people around that were hanging out with him and stuff didn't bring him around me and stuff, but they did. And when I left, my own father made me leave the guy's house in Dillard, and when I left, I even hid some of the guy's stuff so they wouldn't find it because I know them. I lived there long enough, and I knew these people good enough to know that they were gonna go do something, or at least I thought they could. That the potential of them doing something was there, and it was not my responsibility anymore because people who were giving me a hard time there needed to go and watch the guy's house if that's what they wanted to do. They wanted me to leave there anyways for whatever reason, and when I left, we made it clear that we were leaving, and they still allowed those kids to go in there and trash the guy's house and destroy the guy's house. It doesn't matter who the guy was. What they did was very selfish and very rude, and it was way, way far beyond out of control that I, as an older person that hung out with a lot of younger people, would had ever let go on when we were hanging out. There's no way that I would ever let a party or a function or anything we were doing get that far out of hand. We've had things get completely out of hand and out of control before. That's nothing new, but destroying people's property and stuff, that's more adolescent than I was, than I would have been myself, and I would have been, I just wouldn't have been there, and I wasn't there any time that they went back there. I had nothing to do with it. And this Justin Saunders guy gets caught red-handed on a videotape having his wife with these younger teenagers on a videotape that these policemen came to my house and showed me, and they were trying to play good cop and bad cop and trying to rough me up, and I had no information for them. I didn't know what they were talking about. They had to bring me the information to update me on what they were talking about, trying to ask me. At that point in time, I didn't steal nothing, and I did not think that stealing was cool. Okay, up to that point, I changed, and I decided I wasn't going to be immature anymore. I was in school. I had things to look forward to, and stuff like that. So I didn't want to go backwards in my life. Anyhow, so the guy, Justin Saunders, goes into this pawn shop on this video. These cops bring me. I put a TV and a VCR up in my living room, and this is where I'm almost to the point where I'll ask a police officer, unless you got a warrant or unless you got something to serve me or something that's important, you're not welcome here. I'm like, still feel that adamant about police not telling them things and not letting them know anything, and for them to get out of my face, because you guys bamboozled me once and twice. You guys bamboozled me more than once. I can show you where they bamboozled me twice in this one incident with this Justin Saunders guy. So he goes into this video. It's not a video store, it's a pawn shop. He goes into this pawn shop, and he has not only has his wife put the TV in her name so that he could try to get out of having his name on the account selling stolen merchandise. He has his wife and these other three little kids carry this TV in there, and he's standing over here, and you can see him on the videotape that they showed us, him standing away like he had nothing to do with it. Excuse me. So he was going to try to pawn it off on these 13-year-old kids and his wife. He set up to fry. He let her fry. That's how much he cared about his woman. So whenever people are abusive to women, I'm used to not liking it, and I do not think to result to violence. The only thing I think of is to get the girl out of the situation, hope I don't get harmed myself, okay, and just make sure the woman is okay. If some man is beating on a woman, I will not just drive on by and not do something about it. There's no chance. There's no chance on this planet I'm not doing something. You're either going to have to kill me or something's going to give. So, anyways, the guy in my house on the TV and the VCR, when the cops brought the evidence tape or whatever, these cops threw me completely under a bus. They put me underneath the lady at the pawn shop where they sold the TV. They put me underneath her name as a witness in the case, just because I simply watched them on a videotape, and all I said to the guy was, "Oh man, those are the guys you asked me about earlier." I didn't know any of their names. I was baffled, and I forgot. I wasn't even friends with those guys. I was friends with their older brother who wasn't even involved, so I didn't even know the people's names. So I couldn't even tell them who the guys' names was. And I'm terrible with names. I'm one of the worst people you'll ever meet. That is so bad with the name. If I want to get somebody's name, I'll have to fix in on their name right when they tell me and hope I don't forget it anyways. I'm that terrible with it. It's like the most baffling math problem to me, other people's names. So anyways, so the police put me in there. They didn't tell the guy to stay away from me. So the guy came after me. The guy came after me for almost 2 years. For about 2 years, the guy interrupted me and my mother going to Umpqua Community College. I was a student senator at the time, I believe. So I had official things to conduct that were important to me that would have helped improve my life and where I'm living. So big disruption, big interruption. Other people saw it. There were witnesses. So it was Chris Branham. Chris Branham is also a former student of Umpqua Community College around this time. It was 2000, 2001 era. And Chris Branham brought this guy, Justin Sanders, to school with him so that the guy could they could meet up and pick on me before I went to my classes. And I had absolutely nothing to do with him going to the video. I keep saying video store. It's a pawn shop in Northeast. I think Northeast Stevens, up in north part of Stevens. It's close to Winchester, but not quite to Winchester yet. You're still a ways from the armory. Still. Anyways, it was where the pawn shop was. It's right by the Abby's Pizza. The Abby's Pizza. It would be on. I forget the name of that. It was like. I forget the name of that. It's one of the more northern roads that crosses Stevens, where over by where the Abby's Pizza is. So anyways, so when the guy goes in there, that's all I said. So the police didn't tell this guy that hands off. You cannot threaten this guy. You can't go anywhere near this guy. So after that happened to him, the guy started telling everybody around that he possibly could that I was a rat, I was a snitch, and I snitched him off. Used his own personal thing against me in my own community. This foreign guy. Um, he comes in and causes all kinds of problems for me around Roseburg. Period. So, and it didn't let up until the time when I got into a altercation with the guy, and I basically beat him up. He showed up out in Winchester and beat me up, put me in a headlock, and there was nothing I could do about it because I was focused on. I would have been like your bookworm, skinny guy, not very strong, not super athletic either. So I should have been more, but I wasn't because I was getting education more. So I would have been physically prepped for going from class to class and being able to do my homework and pay attention and stay awake, and that's where my energy was focused on. So after the guy comes after me and he stalks me for about 2 years, I finally had enough, so I went to the gym, and all I did was work out, and then I sparred with my friend because this guy actually had an altercation with me before. He was making further threats on my life, actually. So the guy was actually threatening to kill me. So I could have ended up dead over the Roseburg Police, playing some kind of game with citizens in that town. Autistic guy who kind of had a unfair shake in a very disadvantaged position as far as it was in the community. It needed more help than I did to be more hindered. I needed to be helped progress along, not be held back at times whenever I was succeeding in life. To have other things like that just complicate me even more. So I don't know that I'll ever forgive Roseburg for doing that, and for the fact that I'll say that and I'll give my um, opinion, or not my opinion, but I'll give you my side of the story. and it'd be the same every time. And I would just keep in mind that Roseburg would try to turn this around on me just like other people would, to try to say something bad about my character in particular, you know? And you're talking about somebody who was fried by something. My brain was fried when I was a kid, when I was a baby. So I don't know if the Roseburg police or the official city and the people there actually knew that about me, and that I was actually a service brat. But I know that they knew that my father was a Marine. That seemed like it weighed in and challenged the police sergeant's mind, who tells me um, to come in there, and I told them I wasn't going to do it. I wasn't going to go in there, but my parents made me go in there. So my parents forced me to go into the police office or whatever. I flip out because they caused it. Then they're going to sit there and charge me. They convicted me on a felony charge, and the police sergeant who arrested me there, what broke the law. He broke more than just one law, and the judge in court did not throw the case out of court. He let it proceed, even though what happened was the cop threw me up against the wall, and how that happened, what led up to the cop physically harming me and actually physically throwing me up against the wall, and the cop lost it on me. What caused it was I told him I wasn't going to tell him squat diddly. You can go ahead and read me my rights. I'm not telling you anything about anybody or anything about events that happened today. Don't even know who you're talking about or what you're even saying. So then the guy wants to say, all right, fine then, rips me up out of my chair, throws me, grabs me, jerks me up out of this room, this conference room where they make you confess or whatever they try and make you do, and throws me up against the wall. And at the same time, these other cops are sitting there fucking with my parents, with my family. So, anyways, I went through the whole turmoil of going to the Woolley Center, Umpqua Community College, and trying to do better for myself at the same time that everything was starting to look really solid and good for me. That town, the place where I was born, wanted to smack me down and make an example of me. So I'm just lucky that for whatever happened, um, I have no idea how I came to and am as much aware and coherent, awake enough, and my skills are back to where I can explain where I'm coming from, how I feel personally on so many personal levels, and explain certain things like this, and actually come with a real life story event in a place where this isn't a place where um there's a bunch of different races going on out there. There's basically white people and Indian people that live where I'm from. So I'm going to show somebody. I'm going to show you guys what the definition of bamboozled is. Then I'm going to show something else. I'm going to look it up real quick before I do my screen share. I'm going to look it up on my Facebook so I can get out of Facebook before I actually go and show my profile, other people's profiles, and stuff like that. I'm not doing that today. Well, this right here, let me, I am Christopher Columbus Lanham the Third. That's my name. Christopher Columbus Lanham the Third. So here is a screen share. I'm gonna show how I am part Native American. This is my great grandmother, Elva Lanham. It's 1930 census. Lives in Lindsay Garvin, Oklahoma, United States. Her husband was born. She was born in Arkansas. Her husband was born in Texas. Dartha was my grandfather's, right here, his sister. She was born in Texas also. It's kind of cool to go back and see these different things. But right here, they didn't have an education back then in 1930. My family did not. So that's how they spell Christopher Lanham. That's my grandfather. He's a pharmacist mate in World War II with the U.S. Marines. My father was a U.S. Marine, so tried to follow some of his footsteps. Okay, past tense, bamboozled, past article, past part. What? I don't know how to participle. Bamboozled, fool or cheat, or perplex, confound or perplex. Is a verb that is used in a sentence to modify a noun phrase, verb, or a verb phrase, and thus plays a role similar to that of an adjective or adverb. It is one of the types of non-finite verb forms. Non-finite verb forms. So I can look that up anytime I feel like it. Anytime. So now you see that, to not be so perplexed. So anyways, so this guy takes it personal. He comes after me. The police did nothing to call the dogs off to keep this guy from coming after me, from sicking on me. I've never, not ever, ever in the history of the world have I ever heard of the police just saying, all right, bye, take care, have a good life. I hope that you stay safe. I hope that this is the police when they're laughing at me when they left my house, knowing that this guy was going to come after me, knowing that they didn't do anything to call him off or help me with putting any kind of restraint on the guy at all, and was going to let him come after me. There. Bye. Bye. We'll see you. That's the Roseburg PD detectives that screwed with me and took me to jail, and that's what happened. So now I'm going to dive right into the police officer, the sheriff in charge there. I am a Jim Maine fan. I always liked Jim Maine. Every time I ever seen Jim Maine, I always had about a 3 to 5 minute conversation with Jim Maine every single time that I saw the guy. So he was a very fair, practical sheriff, kind of like Andy Griffith maybe a little bit at times, but he wouldn't take no crap from no bad guys whenever it came down to it. But he just knows that there's some small crap that's going on all around the place that you just can't do anything about. It's not even realistic. Are you going to take everybody? You ever seen that episode of the Andy Griffith Show where Barney takes the whole entire town into custody because they all got caught doing something wrong. That's the same thing that this guy, the sheriff that's in charge now, handling kind of shit he did to me and other people after Jim Maine was gone. There was a different guy. I don't know how long it took. This guy been gone almost a decade. So since I've been gone for a decade, he's taken credit for arrests and bullshit, which like one that I'm about to explain, which was another bamboozling of Roseburg Sheriff's Department, actually, at that point in time, because there was somebody in the courthouse that was communicating to the police and to the sheriffs that something needed to be done about me, and they were sick and tired of hearing from me. So, and people want to argue with me like I don't have a right to freedom of speech, and and that these cops have a right to attack me on such a personal level and drag me into court and charge me and do this. Like I said, it's just like if you're gonna take everybody, you're gonna take me. You need to take everybody else in society into jail right now because everybody's guilty of something. I guarantee you. So what happened was that I got a charge from the good old Sheriff Hanlon there in Roseburg. I wasn't gonna say this for a while, but I was planning on mentioning it. Okay, seeing as how I seen him on national news, and I seen that he was the sheriff of Douglas County, the Douglas County sheriff in charge, right? So what happened to get a charge from Sheriff Hanlon? They had the work crew. People were criminals. People get in trouble with the law. They go on work crew. They've got a exploited incarceration system of, filled with people in that whole community of bullshit. Just like I said, you might as well take them all. Well, they did. They did. They put them all on work crew, and then they took them and they had them go and work at what's in the director of the courthouse's house and property down there. Had them go down there and work on somebody else's house with their community service time and money. So they come through my neighborhood. All I say to these guys, I went down there. They had the thing going, so it's hard to talk. So you had to be a little loud whenever you talk. I told them, I said, that's my house, 114 Aloha Court, Roseburg, Oregon. It's in the Green District. That house right up there, don't go to my house, is all I said to these guys. They had a punk come up while I was backing up. I said, don't have these guys come to my house because I didn't want to be billed. That's the main reason. I didn't want to be billed by the city. So when I was backing up, they let some punk on their work crew stick his foot behind me, and he tripped me. Came up and physically tripped me, and they let him get away with that. And then they were gone practically, and I could not see them anymore. So I went inside. All I did was what my father told me to do, and he tells me now, oh, go out in the backyard. You should have went out in the backyard and did it. My father told me, whenever somebody pisses you off like that, go grab your golf club, go outside and take a couple of swings and calm down. So I went and grabbed my golf club. I took a couple of swings in my property. I never left my property, but yet I got a menacing charge for never leaving my property, for striking divots in my own front yard, trying to calm down because they pissed me off. And like I said, nobody could see me at that time. The only people that saw me were these guys from the courthouse. They came up and drove past me to see me doing that. If people could go back to see how bamboozled and how wronged I was, curse you. I curse you individuals, you people. If not that courthouse, I curse you individuals that bamboozled me and lied and did me wrong and unjustifiably thought it was right to sucker punch me with a couple of fake crimes that I did not do. I explained my situation to the judge in court. I got a menacing and a disorderly conduct. After I explained what happened, um, I had fired my attorney, and then I had a actual judge representing me that was court appointed at that point, and he was very nice, and he did a very good job, and he was very understanding. And what he did was he got the menacing dropped, but I still got a disorderly conduct, and it went right along with my felony, third degree felony assault charge that they charged me with when I assaulted um, the person who was victimizing me. My own assaulter and my own attacker comes after me for years, and then I wind up in court charged on community service, working at the dump at the Roseburg landfill, and also on your stupid puke work crew too. So, I think that probably definitely the wrong people had something happen to them this month for sure. And I'm not so sure how conservative these people are writing Obama a letter and stuff like that, saying that you're gonna John Hanlon, is that your name? John Hanlon? Sheriff John Hanlon? You're gonna stand by your words and you're gonna stand by your constituents in Roseburg? Are you serious? You're a conservative and you're for this. So how he ended up giving me the ticket for the menacing and a disorderly conduct was after another sheriff from the courthouse come by. I told him what happened. I said I didn't even look at them when I took a couple of swings. Never even one time was I was I acting like a threat or anything like that. I broke my club and I threw it down, but I did not ever one time ever look at any of them and ever make one threatening posture or anything at any of those people. Not ever, not even one time. So, and I told that to the first sheriff that came by that was ordered by the court to come and give me a ticket. They didn't order the cop to come and investigate. What they said was, dude, go give this guy a ticket, make it stick, and don't come back until you have a charge on this guy. So when the first cop, it's a true story. It really happened that way. The first cop came by, I told him what happened. I said, I never one time ever threatened anybody in that whole entire crew. I told them, if anything, I told them to stay away from my house and my property. So I can't even protect my own property. I can't even protect my own property or keep anybody away, keep zombies out, right? Or I'm going to be getting another charge. Or they're going to make another thing stick to my last name so that they can make it impossible for me to be able to garnish a weapon or get a weapon. So anytime in my life now that I might need it to protect myself, I'm going to be unable to protect my own self because of Roseburg, Oregon, because of people like that. Well, all I can tell you is you better hope that I come up with some more thoughtful insinuations for you, Roseburg, because it doesn't sound very pleasant. There is nothing for people to do in that town except get into trouble sometimes. That's why I spent the last 6 years, 5 to 6 years of my life there, going out to Burn Mountain and exiting the community. Like I said, you could go, it's a place right in the middle, right slap dab in the middle of countryside everywhere. You can go any direction and you're smack dab in the middle of the country, just a short drive away from any city around Roseburg. And all of a sudden you're out in the middle of nowhere. There's terrorist camps out there. It's so wide and open. So all I can tell you is stuff like that is going in my book. I don't know how the book's going to go, but that's a true story. It's how Roseburg, Oregon bamboozled me. I feel bamboozled enough. You don't need to let some scumbag bamboozle citizens, some snake in the grass that beats his own wife, come and get away with some shit like that. And you know what? When I go to get my record expunged, if I don't get that shit expunged, you will never hear the end of it. I will protest you guys to no end. That will happen here shortly.